false dichotomies, Dre and Obsidian. And the false dichotomies is this. This broad overgeneralization is that black men that travel are ex-tourists. I use the word ex for the sake of the algorithm and YouTube policy guidelines. They say that they are ex-tourists, and but that's a lie. And so, Dre, you know, and I know, I've been to Brazil twice. I've been to DR twice. I just got back with my dad and my sisters from St. Kitts, Barbados. I traveled the islands of Puerto Rico. I saw like five, six countries, man. St. Martin, St. Lucia. But Americans often are exploited by foreigners. We understand that they're often exploited. They charge us more, and men are being deleted sometimes in certain countries. True. But what do you think about this false equivocation? Because an ex-tourist, Dre, is a person that goes explicitly, like some of these white women that were going to Gambia, these black women, like Obsidian was talking about, that was going to Jamaica, with the express intent to go into areas that are prohibited by law to seek X from poor and impoverished people. Who are the real passport bros? Are the passport bros really sexual deviants? Are the passport bros exploring or more or less exploiting young women and children? Are the passport bros a byproduct of irrational thoughts and beliefs that's predicated in hate? Watch these clips to the end. You make your determination. Will the real passport bros stand up? And why are the passport bros the most hated group in the world? Watch to the end.
My take on the passport boys, aka these men that are leaving the country to find their wives or to find women that they feel like are more traditional than American women. First comment, get a fucking grip. Like, are you guys really being fucking for real? The fact of the matter is the average woman does not even require that much. As a woman in America, why in 2022 would I settle for a man that expects me to basically be a slave and maid? So, I mean, I see why y'all gotta go overseas to sell the bullshit to other women. But another thing you're missing and point you're missing is you need money. Like, it's gonna take time, energy, and money that y'all can't even give to women that live here in your own culture. You guys are delusional. It's giving you need to be in a mental health facility. Because instead of being introspective and looking at your actions, what you're doing that's maybe not working out in your favor, y'all would rather, like, go to another country and just continue the toxicity.
You think Asian women are going to go 50-50 with you on the bill?
No, we date traditionally, which means if I invite the girl out, I plan and pay for the date. The catch is the cost of living is often 1/4 the price overseas, so even if we pay for the whole date, we're still paying less than what we would have paid 50-50. And this is a point that I don't think it's talked about enough when it comes to passport bros. It's not just dating, it's cost of living, it's rent, it's gym, it's food, it's everything, and it increases the quality of your life. At the end of the day, it's a men's health movement about doing what's best for you.
Okay, so I find it a little bit ridiculous how people hate on passport bros so much. Honestly, I don't get the hate. I don't understand the hate because women do this too. I personally know 3 different women who left the country. I'm from Canada. They've left Canada to go abroad to a different foreign country to find love. They moved there and they made a decision that they were gonna find their husbands there. So in my opinion, everyone just needs to chill out. There are certain cities in Canada and in the US, for example, I'll give you some examples. So New York, LA, Toronto, these cities, people, they know that they're not really going to find relationships there because it's more of a hookup city, right? And people leave these cities all the time to go find relationships. They move to different cities. So what's the difference of a guy moving to a different country because he knows that what he's looking for isn't really here? I mean, in the West, feminism has taken over, but why not go to a country where it hasn't been taken over by feminism and the morals and their views are more suited towards your morals and your views? Why would you not take that chance? Why would you not take that opportunity to move somewhere where there's more of a chance that you'll be able to find someone that has your same principles and your same values? And with the average guy, a lot of guys don't even get a fair chance with women because a lot of women have these unrealistic standards and they're going for the same guys. Guys, they're tired of being placeholders. They're tired of being backups. They want to find love. They want to find someone with their same morals, their same values. And why not go somewhere where there's more of a chance to find that? What's the big deal?
I would think that if you were a straight man, right, you would be happy that these dudes were flying to Beijing or Hong Kong or Cuba, Colombia, wherever they was going, right? Because that would be more coochie for you. there would be more women for you. But the more I listen to you guys, right, y'all sound just like the women, which leads me to believe that you are not concerned with getting more kitty cat. You're concerned on where the Johnson is going. You're upset that these men are taking their Johnsons across seas to get at other women. And this is where I get confused at. Cause why are y'all trying to police what these men are doing with their Johnsons?
Passport bro haters, their logic is you're not going to be able to find a woman to go 50-50 with you in these countries. Like, you think someone in, Philippines or Asia is going to want to go 50-50? And that's not the point. My rent here is, she can, but she doesn't have to, because my rent here is $300 a month. She can literally pursue whatever her passion is and see if that makes money, and there's no pressure on her. Where in America, there's just pressure on both people in the relationship because it's an economics thing. I think a lot of American relationships would get a lot better if every guy made $300,000 a year. And that's kind of like what it is to leave the country. When you leave the country with a US salary, I have a remote US job, it feels like you're making $300K and you carry yourself differently. I think I'm able to have more free time to date. I'm able to provide more for my partner. I'm able to set up a life structure that's really beneficial for both of us. And the problem is American women don't have that option. There's not a currency somewhere else where a guy can come to America and instantaneously, 4x his buying power. And I think that's just one of the gripes, and it's just the way it is.
Fire! For your mind. Kosher clinician.
Yeah, she lie on them brothers. 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 So what going on in your man, you don't get it. And using
Mr. Passport, bro.
Exactly. Coming soon to the interview, man. We're going to talk to this man. He said he's no longer a passport bro. That's what he just told me.
The definition that people are saying about passport bros, I'm not with all that. I'm for men finding relationships outside of the country and to find something better. That's
Austin Holloman would make a video called Passport Bros in Brazil with 6-year-olds.
damn.
Instead of saying travel YouTuber or passport bro or black American guy, he said passport bros. So basically, passport bros, more than one guy, was messing with 6-year-olds when it was only one guy that got arrested. And he gives some explanation.
And then here's even worse, sexual exploitation. According to the investigation, the man is part of the movement called the Passport Bros, formed by criminals who use economic power to exploit social vulnerabilities in Latin America and Southeast Asia. In his social media post, he declared himself a sex tourist.
Just like blown away right now that these chicks are so ugly to me, guys. I'm like, I was in the club like, why are they not attractive enough? Like it. Most of these chicks, guys, you're not gonna want to pay the fuck. I ain't gonna lie to you. Most of these chicks, you feel like you should be for free. I ain't gonna lie. You want to use your real. Like blown away that so much of a city could have so many average to ugly looking women, yo. It's just like,
are the Passport Bros dangerous? Are they deviants and abusers? Or are the Passport Bros a loose organization of men from different backgrounds? Why does the world hate black male agency and sovereignty and push false agenda?
I have never, not one time, seen a nigga that go overseas and was like, yeah, that nigga's the prototype. He cool. I have never in my life, not once, not one, you cannot name me one nigga that is just great. And I was like, I could take something from him. I have never in my life, not once, ever seen a nigga that had to go overseas to buy box and said he is him. Not once. Who the fuck is y'all following? Make sure y'all go and check out Andre and Andre. Who are y'all taking advice from? Who are y'all following and who are y'all taking advice from? That's all I'm asking. I love Crossing Borders because he has a great channel that has great content and breaks down the mindset behind the people that's supposed to be able to move accordingly when it comes to, operating with your passport. That's all I'm asking. Because anytime that I'll take advice from some.
I just don't understand how the most basic level men can leave America, travel to these other countries, and just pull absolute tens, like the hottest girls that you will ever see. And these men, like men that we wouldn't even look twice at, are just pulling them and convincing them to date them. Like, I truly don't understand it.
Thought this so.
Yeah, she lie on them brothers. 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 So what going on in your man, you don't get it. Hey,
Mr. Passport, bro.
Exactly. Coming soon to the interview, man. We're going to talk to this man. He said he's no longer a passport bro. That's what he just told me.
The definition that people are saying about passport bros, I'm not with all that. I'm for men finding relationships outside of the country and to find something better. That's
Austin Holloman would make a video called Passport Bros in Brazil with 6-year-olds.
damn.
And see, guys, this is dangerous when you make these broad mischaracterizations about a group of men. Floyd said he wasn't a passport bro because Floyd asserted and assumed that passport bros do negative and deviant things. But once again, the passport bros is not some large conglomerate. It's not even a fraternity. It's just a way of people living their lives on their own terms, traveling at their own terms without asking anybody for permission. But now there appears to be those that are confused or those that are turncoats, in my opinion, which in essence has muddied the water because they said they want passport bros. So how can people say that the passport bros are exploiting young girls and also exploiting women when Floyd is complicit in the behavior that they accuse the passport bros of doing? It is highly irresponsible to falsely characterize a large group of men as being deviants. That's falsely a false mischaracterization. And it needs to be brought to task. You don't say that the passport bros are complicit in ex-tourism because ex-tourism is something totally different than men going in districts where there is ex. What folks don't understand is that a lot of Americans get exploited. They get scammed. They raise the prices on Americans. They treat Americans different, and they even kill Americans. But this paranoid persecution, guys, is always tied into falsehoods. It's not tied into reality. It's always tied into falsehoods because they want to, instead of looking at things objectively, they're trying to confirm the inherent bias that they already have about black men, black male agency, and also black male sovereignty. They don't want you to be sovereign black men. They don't want you to have any agency. What you men are getting in me is that you're getting a real licensed therapist. I'm not like the Cheyenne Bryants of the world. I didn't go to Chicken George State University. I didn't go to Argosy, some of these crackerjack schools. I didn't go to New Tech University. I went to an elite school. And one of the things we do when I was at UNC, we believe succinctly in looking at the evidence. We believe in succinctly looking at the evidence. Guys, we got a heavy hitter in the house, man. I got my man Dre I call him the maestro. I got my man Dre, the maestro from Love Crossing Boys.
Yes,
That's my
sir.
brother. And you know, Dre, I count it an honor and a privilege, man, to have this conversation with you, man, because the title is that will the real Passport Bros stand up? It's consistent, Dre, with what Frederick Douglass said back in the past, that power never conceded to anything, Dre, without a struggle. And I say that all the time, and they never have and they never will. And also consistent with Harriet Tubman, she said, I could have freed a lot more, Dre, if they did not already know that they were slaves. You got a bunch of ignorant Negroes in America. You got a bunch of content creators that are falsely equivocating the Passport Bro movement with deviants. So I had to look at this thing analytically, Dre, through the lens of what's called clinical inquiry. And so there's a concept, Dre, called collaborative empiricism. Collaborative empiricism says when I'm dealing with clients and they have what's called schemas that are not predicated in reality, I have a responsibility, Dre, and that responsibility, Dre, is to look at the evidence. Shout out to the maestro in the house, Obsidian Mamiya Ali.
Shout out to Obsidian.
But
Hey, what's going on, Andre? What's going on, Kosher?
Yes, sir. Man, we don't.
Hey, Andre, I sent you a text message to your direct to your cell phone, man. Check it when you get a chance.
Okay, cool.
So Dre and Obsidian, there's a fly in the ointment. There's a fly in the American ointment. And that fly in the ointment is not predicated in objectivity. It's predicated in confirmation bias. And we're going to get into all the nuances of this nefarious and very pernicious outcomes as they try to assail the Passport Bro movement. You did a show with Jeff St. James Obsidian in the past, and we'll get to that in a minute. And then also, Andre, you did a very great job speaking truth to power about the mischaracterization. But let's go back and look at the evidence real quick. Guys, if you sent donations, I'm going to read it in a minute, but I want to get to the minutia of this conversation. So let's get back to it. Hold tight. Give me 1 minute.
Yeah, she lie on them brothers. 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 So what going on in your man? You don't get it. And using
Mr. Passport, bro.
Exactly. Coming soon to the interview, man. We're going to talk to this man. He said he's no longer a passport bro. That's what he just told me.
The definition that people are saying about passport bros, I'm not with all that. I'm for men finding relationships outside of the country and to find something better. That's
Austin Holloman would make a video called Passport Bros in Brazil with 6-year-olds.
damn.
Instead of saying travel YouTuber or Passport Bro or Black American guy, he said Passport Bros. So basically, Passport Bros, more than one guy, was messing with 6-year-olds when it was only one guy that got arrested. And he gives some explanation.
And then here's even worse: sexual exploitation. According to the investigation, the man is part of the movement called the Passport Bros, formed by criminals who use economic power to exploit social vulnerabilities of Latin America and Southeast Asia. In his social media post, he declared himself a sex tourist.
Just like blown away right now that these chicks are so ugly to mid, guys. I'm like, I was in the club like, why are they not attractive enough? Like that. Most of these chicks, guys, you're not gonna want to pay the fuck. I ain't gonna lie to you. Most of these chicks, you feel like you should be for free. I ain't gonna lie. You want to use your reason. Like, blown away that so much of a city could have so many average to ugly looking women, yo. It's just like,
are the Passport Bros dangerous? Are they?
So this mischaracterization, Obsidian, and also Andre, is tied in my mind to something called schemas. Schemas are are many times maladaptive. A scheme is tied. It's a more general way to say what a schema is saying a core belief. So there's a core belief that's not only predicated in pre-antebellum slavery that black men are dangerous and that they are they're actual demons, and they want to harm and hurt women. What do you guys say about that false mischaracterization, starting with Andre, and then we'll go to Mamiya?
Well, I look at it right now is everybody it reminds me kind of like when something happens in the United States in Congress or the president or any type of senator is trying to do a cleanup. They're trying to run around like chickens with their heads cut off, assuming that, okay, I had nothing to do with it. They want to run around and say, I didn't vote for that particular bill. I didn't have a part of it. And I think that's what I'm seeing in damage control taking place right now among those who are either former passport bros or those that consider themselves passport bros, and those that know nothing about the passport bro movement but have been making passport bro content. And that's what I'm noticing about guys right now. A lot of guys are panicking, right, and saying, well, I had nothing to do with Floyd, or I had nothing to do with Jay Rillo. And we've seen this before when it comes to politics, but at the end of the day, the buck has to stop somewhere. Right. And if it didn't start with the passport bro, where did it start? If these men have come on camera several times over and said that they're not passport bros.
They're not passport bros, right.
Why is it that the passport bros are the ones that are taking the heat for it? The two things. A, I can blame it on, I can kind of like throw the chair over there and make people look over there instead of looking at me. That's one of the ways that they're doing damage control. I brought him in. I was a part of the reason why he's known, or they're known. But then they do something evil. Now they're the guys over there. Let's put them in the passport bro category to keep the eyes off of me. The second thing is that the passport bro title get views. Let's be
That's
real.
true. Yep.
It has grown to an extent to where even mainstream media uses the term.
Right.
The average everyday person in the grocery store, many of them know the term passport bros. It's that common now. Mm-hmm. And so in order to get those 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 views, instead of saying American tourist,
right.
Thing,
right.
Put in my title, it was an American, that's a tourist.
Right.
That did a heinous act, allegedly.
Right.
They went for the views, and they end up getting the passport bros, and they're going to continue to do that. That's why people that don't travel anywhere use the passport bros in their title when they want to have to say something instead of saying American tourists. I don't agree with American black tourists. I agree with American white tourists. Instead of saying that in the title, they see that it's more lucrative to just use the passport bro moniker for views and clicks.
You know, black men historically have always been targeted. Ascidian, I've been targeted. I'm 6'5", 6'6". You've seen me in person. Mm-hmm. And, Dr. Ron Neal came with a concept called a male agency. Shout out to Dr. Professor Ron Neal. Him and I are good friends. But there are always saboteurs behind the scene trying to suppress the agency of black men. What do you think about this new false association or this false equivocation about black men being passport bros and using these very serious allegations like ex-tourists are attacking women in church? How would you respond to that? Go ahead.
I would respond to it the same way I responded to a certain YouTuber on this channel, which precipitated this book. Mm-hmm. I would say the same thing I said to her. Mm-hmm. Why no discussion about how Stella got a groove back?
We're going to get to that. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Why do we only talk about black men?
Right.
Let's work with the let's work with that. Let's work with that tourist for a moment. Let's work with that. Let's accept it. Fine.
Right.
There are books written by black female academics that I talk about in my book, mm-hmm. where she actually went with organized Black women tour trips. The outfit was called Girlfriend Tours International circa 2004. Okay. The destination was Jamaica. Black women really like Jamaica for some, this is documented. It's not my opinion. On one of the trips, the woman who in the book is named Vera, she's a 50-something-year-old Black woman. I want to say she's a postal worker or something like that. She turns to Bianca C. Williams, who I'm talking about, wrote the book, The Pursuit of Happiness, said, Bianca, make sure you include this in your book. Jamaica is for end of quote. Now, my question becomes this. We have Terry McMillan, who she really got on the map with how Stella got a groove back. How do we know that's true? Because not too long thereafter, maybe a year, 2 years later, it not only got optioned, it was fast tracked to a major motion picture with Angela Bassett in the title role and Taye Diggs as her 20 years junior. Now, nobody had a problem with that. That was seen as empowering. That was seen as flipping the script on double standards, gender roles, etc. To this day, nobody has a problem with that.
True.
But Black men, no matter the age, no matter the occupation, no matter if they're married or not, it doesn't matter. If you're a brother and you decide to go overseas for whatever the reason, now all of a sudden we got the pushback. So my simple question is, what's the excuse me? What's the difference here? What is the difference? Because we have evidence from Black women scholars,
right,
who are saying this is what they're doing in Jamaica.
Right.
She was with them for 4 years and documented it. So I would say to that same Black female who also said the same thing a few years ago, that the passport bros were traffickers, and that we needed government intervention to stop them.
Right.
Okay, fair enough. And shouldn't the same thing be applied to the passport Stella? They got over. She writes in the book. Bianca C. Williams writes in the book, The Pursuit of Happiness. Came out about 6-7 years ago. Yeah, something like that. She writes in the book that the women be over there, Black American women be over there, and the local guys will be saying, hey Stella, as in how Stella got her groove back.
Okay? Right.
My question, because for me, that's where the question starts. Why all the scrutiny on these brothers going to Brazil, going to Colombia, going to Africa, but nobody in Black America has a problem with how Stella got a groove back. She can make a New York Times #1 best-selling book about it. She can make a major motion, Hollywood motion picture about it. Nobody has an issue with that. I know the reason why. The reason why is because unlike with so many Black progressives and Black feminists like the ones I respond to in this book, unlike what they're saying, what you're seeing right now is prima facie evidence and proof that
yes,
Black America is not not a patriarchy.
Right.
It is a de facto matriarchy. See, that's the quiet part nobody wants to say out loud. The reason why we don't have any energy for Terry McMillan and how Stella got her groove back and all of these tapes, because the reason why I got put off of YouTube, because I just showed the tapes. You want to talk about that type of trafficking? I'll show you the real. And that's exactly what I did. I showed the tapes of what these ladies are doing in the grill in Montego Bay, in Kingston. I showed what they're doing on those rafts. Okay? I showed everybody what was happening, and that got me put off YouTube. And you want to know something? I do it again. Because if we're going to have a real conversation about who's really trafficking, who's taking advantage of poor third worlders and all the rest of it, listen, man, black women have been doing this. How Stella Got a Groove Back came out almost 30 years ago.
Almost 30 years ago, right.
So they've been doing this for a good long minute. And again, nobody has a problem with it because Black America is a de facto patriarchy. Small M. It's not because this is the trick that a lot of people will say. Well, black men still run this and still run that. Run it on behalf of who?
Oh, who? Right.
Run it on behalf of who? Let's go with the black church.
Right.
The black church is still still at the top. Still have black men. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Who do they run it on behalf of? Do they run it on behalf of black men?
Right.
Do they center black men's experiences,
right.
needs, desires, aspirations, goals? Do they concerns? Do they focus? Is that the focal point?
Right.
Is it the focal point of any black male? I mean, no disrespect to him. We can use somebody like an Ace Metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
He owns and operates tonight's conversation, but who does he run it on behalf of?
Yes, sir. I agree with you. You're right.
Who does he focus?
You're
Who does he center? Does he center black men or does he center black women?
Right.
I am saying that the Black American community, as a direct result of slavery, read your W.E.B. Du Bois, the Philadelphia Negro, Black Reconstruction, read your E. Franklin Frazier, the Negro family in the United States. That is not accidental. That was very purposeful. It was purposeful to prevent black men from building top-down, hierarchical, funded and operated patriarchal organizations. That was purposeful to destroy it at any attempt at doing it. Tulsa, Oklahoma, anyone? Rosewood, anyone? All these other race riots, anyone? You can look this up. What cracks me up, fellas, is the number of supposedly, ostensibly educated black people who all of a sudden now become Jason Bourne and they get amnesia. And they don't all of this goes out the window.
Right.
It's very simple, man. Black America is a de facto matriarchy.
It's a de facto matriarchy.
So the reason why the passport bros are getting this intense scrutiny, and I'm not excusing the couple knuckleheads. Every group is going to have knuckleheads. If you don't understand that by this big old age, you got a much bigger problem than passport bros. Every group has their knuckleheads in it. I'm not denying that. But overall, to take this overall view while turning a blind eye to what they call the passport stellas, that is only proof that Black America is a de facto matriarchy.
It's a de facto matriarchy. And listen, I tell men to have the spirit of Jehu. Jehu was a warrior, as he was an emissary against Jezebel in the Bible. Black men need to start having the spirit of Jehu. You don't battle. Let me tell you something. The world won't change. Harold Melvin, the Blue Notes, wrote a song back in the day. He said, "World don't get no better. If you can't change the world, just let it be." But black men got to keep standing firm in their convictions. And we understand that black men are not a monolith. We understand that even you, I, and Dre, we don't agree on all things or ideologies. Our worldviews are different. But we are in a crisis as black men, and therefore we are allies of a common cause. What is the common cause? The common cause is male agency. And so I take it upon myself as a licensed clinical therapist, not a fake therapist, not these therapists that went to Chicken George State University or RMC University. I went to an elite school. I didn't go to Chicken George State. I went to the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. I got my bachelor's from North Carolina Central. And I always tell men, and then I got my degree in law enforcement from Pitt Community College. And to those that think I'm a fake therapist, I'm going to have to hit them in the head upsetting because I'm on my king-ish, because there's a lot of pigeons in this house.
Yeah. Shut up, kosher. Yeah. Shut up. Whoa. Shut up, kosher. Ballin'. Take it back.
Like it's game time. Game time. Locked in when it's game time. Yeah, I'm ballin'. Like it's game time. Locked in when it's game time. I put in work, couldn't wait for my bag coming. 3 whole years and these records keep running. Don't talk to me if you can't match the numbers. Ballin', like it's game time. Locked in when it's game time. Yeah, I'm ballin', like it's game time. Locked in when it's game time. I put in work, couldn't wait for mine.
One of the things black men got to start doing, Dre and Obsidian, we got to start raising the standard. And we got to raise the standard and say it unapologetically. I've always said, Dre, and I've always said, Obsidian, My mom died this year, and I love my mom, and me and my dad had a good conversation.
Sorry to hear that.
But until men start demanding what they want in relationships, we'll keep getting this behavior. Men have to stand firm in their own agency, their own advocacy, and don't cower down to depression. Because every time you cower down to depression, then you are affirming the lies that they have transmitted against you. Dr. King one time said, Drake, when he was trying to fight for the rights of civil rights for black folks, he said, we got some tough days ahead. But he says, somehow we are going to make it. And so we got to have that same spirit of Jehu and that same spirit of liberty, because the image of the black man is at the forefront. How would you respond to that? And before you respond, Drake, let me finish playing this, because I'm going to get into it clinically, because the reason why I took this upon myself, because there's a lot of cognitive distortions and there's a lot of ego defense mechanisms. So let's look at this real quick, and then I want you to respond to it, Drake. Hold tight.
Deviants and abusers, or are the Passport Bros a loose organization of men from different backgrounds? Why does the world hate black male agency and sovereignty and push false agenda?
I have never, not one time, seen a nigga that go overseas and was like, yeah, that nigga's the prototype. He cool. I have never in my life, not once, not one, you cannot name me one nigga that is just great. And I was like, I could take something from him. I have never in my life, not once, ever seen a nigga that had to go overseas to buy box and said he is him. Not once. Who the fuck is y'all following?
Make sure y'all go and check out Andre and Andre.
Who are y'all taking advice from? Who are y'all following and who are y'all taking advice from? That's all I'm asking.
I love Crossing Borders because he has a great channel that has great content and breaks down the mindset behind the people that's supposed to be able to move accordingly when it comes to, operating with your passport.
That's all I'm asking. Because anytime that I'll take advice from somebody,
I just don't understand how the most basic level men can leave America, travel to these other countries, and just pull absolute tens, like the hottest girls that you will ever see. And these men, like men that we wouldn't even look twice at, are just pulling them and convincing them to date them. Like, I truly don't understand it.
Thought this soil would hold you forever.
Some roots are meant to travel, sir. Feels like they're finally growing.
The government talked about something called compromise. And in relationships where there's the lack of compromise in the relationship, it can lead to a condition called relationship entropy. And relationship entropy comes from the word entropy comes from the word science. The scientific community, meaning things are about to implode. And this relationship is about to implode because this woman does not have emotional regulation. She doesn't appear to care about her husband. And then many times, as she's been doing here recently, based on what I've seen in the video, which I'm about to show you guys in a minute, they'll be the victim when the man is more or less crying out. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about in a minute. Just hold tight, and I'm going to show you how it appears this woman now is being the victim because she's being held accountable. Hold tight. So relationship entropy happens, Obsidian and also Dre, where there's a disequilibrium in that said relationship. I had a training in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic last year. It was called the Gottman Method. And even the professor that was teaching it, even he himself said that, I notice every time you talk about men, it's always through the lens of subjugation and mediocrity. And he agreed. He said, yeah, I have to do that because he didn't want to offend the women that were the female therapists in the group. So there's a pernicious attack on the image of not only black men, but also men in general. And as has always been Obsidian Dre in the past, when white America get a cold, consistent with Tavis Smiley, black America, especially the black man, get the flu. How would you guys respond to that?
Andre, go right ahead.
Hold tight. Dre, I got you. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dre. Go ahead, brother.
Me personally, when it comes to the black community in the United States, UK, the West itself, I got to be honest. I don't care what they think. There are three things that passport bros, black men with passports, black expats, all expats don't owe the black community. You ready? First, 3 P's. proof, provision, and we don't owe them to provide anything.
Mm-hmm.
We don't owe them proof. We don't owe them provision, and we don't owe them to provide anything. I'll tell you what I mean. First thing I want to talk about prove. We don't have to prove anything to anybody 600 miles away, 7,000 miles away, 2,000 miles away, 500 miles away.
Right.
The black community, I can put up all the picket signs you want. You can create all the videos. Do it. Do it, baby. Cameras got to go off, and we're going to be living our real lives in DR, our real lives in Poland, our real lives in Timbuktu, in some guys are even deciding to live in Mongolia. We're living our real lives. So when it comes to catering to the black community, you guys are back in the States, so I understand your battle with the black community. But those of us who have already left the community, as Obsidian often says, we are not going to provide anything. We're not going to provide any proof. Number two, proof of why a person should travel, why a person should believe us, why a person should trust us, why a person should see our successes. We're done trying to do that. We tried to do that in the States. The first thing we try to do is prove ourselves as black men in the States.
Right.
Has it worked?
No,
to black women? No. Okay. Number two, then, has it worked by giving proof? We tried to prove, then we tried to give proof by example. That ain't work for black women. Then we say, okay, let's go ahead and provide to black women. Maybe they'll be with us in regards to we just provide. Because we couldn't prove, we couldn't give proof. So maybe if we as black men just provide. That ain't work. They start asking for more. Now we want you to have, we know you provide for the family, but now you need to have 6-pack, 6 figures, 6 inch longer, and you need to be 6 inch, you need to be 6 feet tall. It's never going to be enough.
Never enough.
You're going to burn yourselves out in the United States trying to wait for the black community to accept your proof, accept your provision, and accept what you provide. It's not going to accept what you try to prove. It's not going to happen. So men such as myself and others who realize, listen, I only got a good 20, 30 more years left on this thing called Earth.
Right.
So I got a choice. I could burn myself out like MLK did, or I can do like Frederick Douglass and move to Paris.
Right.
I could burn myself out like John Lewis did as a senator in the state of Ohio, or I could be like his brother who was in SNCC with him, Stokely Carmichael, and I could go on back to the islands.
Mm-hmm.
So I could go ahead and be like Jesse Jackson, who's irrelevant now, or I can go ahead and be like some of the great artists and writers who black writers decided, you know what, I'm moving to Paris. Because even they realize after their struggles of the 50s, 60s, 70s, the black community is not going to accept the 3 areas. Right. No matter what you do, you can't provide enough. No matter what you do, you can't prove enough. And no matter what you show, you don't have enough proof enough. Right. And since you can't do those 3 things and it's not enough, that's it back, going back to battle, back and forth. Say what you will about passport bros. Say what you will about black men with passports. Say it. But you aren't out here with us. That's like us going to battle with women who are yelling at us through a bulletproof glass. I can't hear you. You're irrelevant to me. I can't. What? Baby, I'm 6,000 miles away. Once I turn your TikTok video off, you don't exist on the planet.
Right.
And even the better beauty of that, once I turn your TikTok video off, I don't exist on your planet.
That's true. That's right.
That's why I try not to be kind of like crude, because I understand, once again, that there are brothers such as yourselves that are going to battle back home, and hats off to you guys. I kid you not. Keep your torches burning. But as for us who have gotten our passports, we can't battle on both fronts. We can't build new lives in other countries, live the American dream outside of America, network, build brotherhoods, build new sisterhoods. In other words, build a new image of blackness outside of America. And at the same time, every time something happens in the black community in America, y'all expect us to go to battle from 2,000 miles away. We can't do it.
We can't do that, right? I totally agree.
That's why you hear individuals like me. We're not shunning the black community. We just aren't around to help the black community. So the only thing that I and others are trying our best to do, the positive brothers, not the Pookies, Ray Rays, nothing now, not the Keishas with a passport. We try to set an example for those that do want to be on this side of the black experience. So if they want to stay in the States in the United Plantation of America for the rest of their days, that's cool. And go to war, that's cool. But as for us, our job out here is to try to set a positive example. And to piggyback off the topic for today, we need positive examples outside the United States for black people, because every once in a while, a situation like a Floyd or a Jay Rillo pops itself up. And the last thing we need is for the Pookies and Ray Rays and Nook image to be broadcast internationally more than us positive brothers that are out here.
Right.
That are out here.
Right. And I'm gonna get into that because what's happening with this passport bro phenomenon is no different than modern dating and relationships. Those that are shaming men that are passport bros, and some guys just have passports. My daddy got a passport. Me and my dad just got back. Me and my dad and my two sisters, we wanted to celebrate our father. Our father's 82, and my dad and I had a good conversation about women. I've joked with Obsidian. I've said in the past, I don't know about no other man for what he do in his own home. I've always said, and Obsidian is my witness, that I'm not paying full price for used cat. I'm just not going to. I don't not know other man to do it. That's their business. But I came up with a term called hoflation. We're gonna prorate it because you're not a virgin. You ain't ran that. I'm just not paying full price. My dad got this is what my daddy got, and I'm gonna prove it to y'all guys in a minute. My mom was a virgin. She was wife ready, and she didn't have any kids. And my dad paid all the bills. But you got chicks now that's been ran through. They got kids, but they don't. In the South, we don't say children. We say children. They got children by other men, and they want you to pay all the bills. But then when you ask them what a black man getting, it's crickets. You don't hear anything because they don't care about you. They don't see you as an extension they don't see themselves as being an extension to your kingdom or your program. They see you as an extension to themselves. You like the pocketbook in the closet, and your job is to make her happy. And what I'm telling you, men, is that in true healthy relationships, if you want to have what's called an equilibrium, in congruence, you got to have something called positive negative homeostasis a lot of times. So if you want to get the best in the relationship, the man got to benefit and the woman got to benefit. The OJs wrote a song back in the day, and they say you got to give the people what they want. I'm thinking about writing a book of Sid and Dre, and the name of the book is going to be called Black Love Without Consent. And I'm going to call it that because we never consented to ask black men what they want in relationships. We never asked the black man what he wants, Dre. Right. And I'm saying we never asked him because guess what? Because we don't care. We just think black men are supposed to take the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst deals and don't say anything about it and be grateful. And I would never do. I will die before I tap dance to the whims of a modern day woman. I'm not going to tap dance to a man, but I definitely going to tap dance to a woman. Shout out to my man Gregory Scotland. He said, "Hi, Kosher. The latest incident is an example of those who are really for black men to examine those who are quick to throw us under the bus when the heat is on." Austin dumped on the manosphere. Yeah, I love Austin, but that's disappointing because what Austin was saying was a gross mischaracterization. I got nothing against Austin. I love Austin, but that was a gross mischaracterization. Gregory Scotland said in 2026, we as strong black men have to point out simps, black men who are afraid to offend black women, and those scared black men who don't want to work together with others. Justin Moore said they're listening. Denver, Colorado, thanks for all the information. Thank you, brother Justin. And guys, do me a favor, hit the like button, share the stream, donate. If you want to really help me, send cash apps because YouTube takes 20%. And also shout out to my man Timothy Howard. He said gifted coaching with 5 memberships. So thank you, brother. Brother, I want to show you in Obsidian something because this is really going to get to the crux of the matter. It's going to add nuance to the conversation. Now, and let me tell you guys something. It took me hours to put this thing together, and I would say days. I put a lot of heart and work in putting this thing together, and so I want you guys to look at it together. So, as a therapist, I always look at things through the lens. I always try to look at things from a clinical lens. It's a lot of different things going on. But what you got going on, Obsidian and Dre, is a concept called labeling. Ever since the inception of the Americas, ever since the inceptions of being in the South, ever since the inceptions of everything, black men have always been seen through the lens of pathology. Would you guys agree with that, yes or no?
Yeah.
Black men have always been seen as being pathological. Now, I think women by nature are inherently afraid of men. There's a concept that I heard another psychologist, she called it paranoid persecution. I came up with a concept called schema afflictions. A schema affliction is predicated in fear and pain based on what happened in the past. So the cognitive distortion that you're seeing now as it relates to the assailant of black men is this. Black men, they are all dangerous. How many times have y'all heard that? How many times y'all heard that either by implication or by examples that black men are dangerous? Have you guys heard that?
Oh yeah, several times throughout life.
Right. They are all ex-tourists. That's been the prevailing point that black men are ex-tourists. Have you guys not heard that?
Oh, absolutely.
All passport bros are ex-tourists, and there's no example. Passport bros exploit women and kids. That's a cognitive distortion. Have you guys not heard that? All these things is part of what's called the minimization of masculinity. It seeks to minimize and distort male agency and also male sovereignty. But on the flip side, an ego defense mechanism is used to protect the ego. And there's one called rationalization. They try to rationalize their position about black men and passport bros by saying they are all goofies, lame, and have no game. And I saw a comment from somebody on the YouTube channel, and they said that black men need to learn game versus traveling, paying $3,000 to travel and pay $40 per box. And you know what I never understood, Dre, and I'm saying is this. There's a concept called acculturated prostitution. Black men in America, what they're doing when they go on expensive dates, they're actually engaging in a form of prostitution. The only difference is it's delayed gratification in that form of prostitution versus going abroad. Now, I'm not here to tell men to commit fornication. I'm not saying that. But my point is, those that try to shame black men, how's it any different when you expect black men to pay for several dates in the name of calling yourself a lady, and then in the process of paying for several events, then you may or may not get some cat versus saying, you know what, screw it, I'm just gonna cut out the middle, man. I'm just gonna go ahead and get on the plane and I'm gonna do what I wanna do if I choose to do it. So it's rationalization. They are all goofies and lames and they have no game. And then it's displaced aggression. Their mama is black and they can't get a real black woman. How would y'all respond to these psychological or psychopathological conditioning in the form of labeling, cognitive distortions, or ego defense mechanisms? How would you guys respond to it?
Well, the first thing I would say, like I said earlier, nobody asks, what about how Stella got a groove back? Like that's never part of the conversation. And I don't think that that's by accident. It's not by accident because Black America is a de facto matriarchy. So let me take it back to our brother, both our brothers, Austin and our brother Anton. Start with Austin first. I don't know if either one of you saw this. Some people in the chat room might recall this. About 2 years ago, circa 2023, there was a very disturbing live stream that Austin Holloman did from his, I want to say he's native to Texas, right? Dallas, I believe. He had gone back home and while home visiting with his mother, he had a very, to me, it was deeply disturbing interaction with her. She was cursing at him, berating him, shouting at him, talking in a very negative way about his father, etc. In that moment, that really, and this is the first time I've spoken on to this on camera since. That really got to me. That hurt me. And I've had Austin on my show before. I've interviewed him, but I've never met him. I attempted to reach out to him to try to get in. This is in 23, so we was in Atlanta. Coach, you remember this? We was in Atlanta. Yeah. I attempted to get him out to the conclave in Atlanta. I couldn't reach him. Now let's go to Anton. So, as you showed in your clip, will the real Anton Daniels please stand up? Because we see Anton wholeheartedly with his whole chest, full-throated endorsement of our brother Andre.
Right.
We saw it. But then he turns around, and Andre recently did a live on this. I wrote a Patreon post about it, where Anton is now anti-passport bro. Okay. So in his case, he has a daughter. And I'm being objective here. Studies have shown that in families where there are more females than males, that the preferred dating strategies of the females will predominate. So what is a preferred mating strategy for women? Preferred mating strategy is for women, high quality mates who do extended courting and delayed sex. Okay? That's yeah. So I have a brother from another mother from Sweden. I interviewed him on my channel over on Rumble. By the way, everybody can follow me on Rumble. Just look for my name. You'll find me over there, Rumble. His name is David Lorenzen. He told me that the American passport is very expensive compared to him. The krona is basically the Swedish dollar. They call it a krona. If I remember correctly, it costs in their currency. It costs about $40 to get a passport. Okay. When I got my passport, it was upwards of $300. Right. Wow. You know, I got the card and this and that, expedited and all, whole McGillis. So his point was, it's very expensive to get an American passport compared to other countries in the world. It's very, and he's in the NATO West. And my point is this, because there's been a lot of discussion about guys being broke, dusty, etc., being passport bro. And you do hear stories on TikTok. A guy goes to Dominican Republic and he's busted and he's begging people to get his flight back home. Oh, granted, but that's not the norm. Here's the truth, and Andre will back me up on this. This is not my opinion. This is the State Department. Americans who own passports are more educated than the rank and file American. That's a fact. On average, that's a fact. They make more money than the average American. They tend to live on the coastal cities, okay, on the coasts of the United States. They're not so much from the interior of the country. Now, again, Andre is here. You can back me up on this. These are U.S. State Department figures, government agency stats about what the rank and file profile of an active U.S. passport holder is. Okay, these passport bros are not broke. Far from it. Now, they may not be independently wealthy. I'll grant you that. But broke, they're far from broke. They're far from it. And I think what the issue with Anton is, and I have a lot of empathy for both him and our brother Austin. I think what the issue for him is that if this thing with the passport bros, and by the way, brothers going abroad for mates, be it a long time or a good time, has gone up 200%.
Oh, wow.
In the last year alone.
I didn't know that.
200%. If it continues at this pace, I don't know Anton's daughter's age, but I would imagine by the end of the decade, we're looking at her going into full-on dating by that point, but circa 2029, 2030. By that time, there is a real possibility that the passport bros could tip somewhere between 5 and 10%. If it does, if by the end of the decade, or say another decade from now, circa 2035, that the passport bro population grows, expat population grows to from between 5 and 10%, it will prove, these are the numbers that I got, crunching the numbers, it will prove catastrophic for Black America. The reason why is because another conclave brother, all you Kosher and you Andre, you're my conclave brothers. And I'm getting somewhere with this. I'm kind of rambling, but I'm getting somewhere with it. Another conclave brother of ours, Chris Hutchinson, featured in the Wall Street Journal last year, him and his wife, he crunched the numbers and he found that for every time a Black man in the United States files a DS-11 form with the State Department to get his passport, that is a potential net loss to a Black woman somewhere in Black America of almost 30 grand every year. That's year on year, 30 grand, year on year hit. The average Black American woman does not make more than 45 grand a year. Only 4 states in the union, and technically it's not 4, it's actually 3 states plus the District of Columbia. Only those 3 states and DC is where Black women make more than 45 grand a year. So you do the math here. It really does come down to the numbers and math. And I'm not saying Anton, whipped out his calculator on his phone and he got a spreadsheet. I'm saying just him being a dad intuitively, he works with numbers anyway because he's a millionaire guy. So he's looking at the numbers here. If 10% of guys become passport bros and they roll out and pretty much don't come back, that is 10% less of the type of men that he would like for his daughter.
Yeah.
And I feel a lot of empathy for that. The last thing I would say, both about Anton and Austin, and for that matter, any other brother out there that's taking this kind of anti-passport bro tack, is this. And you two brothers know this. The Black Manosphere Conclave in Miami, we pulled about close to 500 brothers in Miami in September. That would be roughly 100 more than we did in Houston last year. We're scaling up. I suspect that we will be somewhere between 600 and 1,000 plus in Vegas next year. 79% of conclave brothers as of 2024 are active passport holders. Half of that number travels out of the country like a half a dozen times a year. Okay, 79% overall. Okay, it's not hard to look at the math here. And what I find is that when brothers like Anton, brothers like Austin, what I find among brothers like that, they all have something in common. None of them have ever been to a conclave. None of them. Think about it. We got, like I said, last year we had 400 in Houston at the Four Seasons. This year we had about 500 at the Hyatt Regency in Miami. Are any of these brothers online talking about passport bros? Is this passport bros? Is that this tourist? That tourist? This tourist? You don't hear from them.
Right.
The brothers that say this never come to a conclave.
Right.
They're not conclave brothers. And I hate to say this, but they are kind of Black female identified.
Yeah. And men that identify with Black females and throw on the other Black men on the bus, they're cowards in my opinion. And they're dangerous because they're saboteurs of what Black men are trying to do. I wanna go back and reiterate something Obsidian and Dre real quick. And Black men are deemed as being some of the most desired men in the world. They're deemed as being the most desired in the travel world. And Dre, I want you to add some credence to it because I'm sure you know because you traveled abroad. We will argue that when it comes down to money and status, the white men tend to be the most powerful overall. I would say that Black men are the most sexually desired overall. Overall, Black men we might not have the money as white men, but I would say we're more sexually desired. And I would say Asian men are more neutral or the least desired. And I'm going to add to that real quick with this clip. and then we're going to get deep back into the conversation, because Al Green's talked about that. So hold tight.
When you date a woman and she may be a potential wife, it's a competition thing all the way. I can't take it no more.
They feel propped up because they feel more beholden to the government. And then their man comes second. That's why they figure that they're strong, independent, don't need no man, because they have the government.
Because the men are failing us, to be honest. Guys thinking about themselves, and they'll think about you after you react.
You don't hear anything about being good wives and all this other stuff. What you hear is you're strong and you independent. You can do it on your own. You got black girl magic, black girl rock, but you ain't said nothing about black family.
My mother is like what they consider to be the strong black woman. I feel like I projected that onto the guys that I dated.
Ladies have no idea how stiff their competition really is. You have no clue how black men are viewed in the rest of the world. We are the #1 most sexually desired man on the face of this planet.
They would call Jesus Dusty if he was here living in America, because of the gross narcissism that a lot of our women have.
Shout out to Brother Walter for that $25 super chat. Shout out to Brother Walter for that further $25 super chat.
It's the money.
Shout out to Brother Walter Watts for the $25 super chat. Thank you, sir, for showing so much love. Guys, don't let Brother Walter be the only one to donate. Guys, share the stream if you don't have any money. Get the likes up. Let's get the likes up, guys. Go check out Love Crossing Borders with my brother Dre. Check out his books and his paraphernalia. But also, guys, get the likes up, because this is a very powerful conversation, a much needed conversation. And we have to dispel the myths associated with this movement that's taking the world by storm. What do you think about, Dre, about the most desired, this little clip I got up with, the most powerful, most desired, and the most neutral? Briefly tell me what you think about that, how much truth it is to it from your experience being an expat abroad.
Hearing it come from El Guapo is validation enough. But when you're out here, you're actually seeing how you're treated as a man of color compared to the local men in many countries who were raised for generations with those women, to see how white men are looked up on, not for their intimacy or their swag, if you will, but for their economics or their status. So outside of status or money, women globally aren't even looking at white dudes like that. No offense to my white brothers. So they're looking at the white dude as he could be a lick, because I know he white, so he might got some money. So
Right.
White dude's more like a lick, like a come up. Mm-hmm. We know that y'all are more naive than black men, because black men ain't going for everything. So we could just throw you some easy sex, white brother, and you'll fall for anything. So they think that the white dude is gullible. They think that, the white dude is gullible. They think that he got money. It's all these narratives that are not true about all white dudes, but they assume globally that white dudes, when it comes to money and status, he got it going on. So in regards to that, they're #1. But then once you take the money aspect out of it, and you take the power aspect out of it, and you just have a man standing next to a man, everywhere you go in the world, women are looking for brothers. Mm-hmm. And when they say sexually, they don't just mean sexually in the sense of you can smash it when you want to, chocolate. That's true. But they also mean in the sense of intimacy. Mm-hmm. They want to be up under the black man. Most black men are tall, so they want to be able to look up at him.
Look up to him, right?
When they're sitting next to you,
yes,
their white skin or their Latin complexion,
right,
piggybacks off of your chocolate.
Yes, sir.
They love the fact that you got a swag about you that they don't see in their own country.
Yes, sir.
They love the fact that they may be you be in Poland or in any Scandinavian country, Eastern European country, and a brother show up, and it's like, we all gonna have him, girl. Why? Because it ain't that many brothers here that can make us laugh and make us smile. And we gotta tolerate only white dudes because we live in a majority only white country. So when brothers do show up, the party is on. And I don't just mean in the party sense. Like I said, you could just be in a room with white girls and they just love the fact that they can cuddle up under you and sit up under you and laugh and listen to your jokes, and they like your accent, you're exotic to them. Back home, you just another Negro.
Another Negro.
But when you're traveling the world, and we're proof of this. When you're traveling the world as an African American man, and they grew up watching Will Smith, they grew up watching Snoop Dogg, they grew up watching everything from Different Strokes like we did in their language, and watching Good Times and watching the Jeffersons that's translated into their countries. They grew up on Wu-Tang Clan. And so now the black men who they grew up watching on television and they idolized are the men that they're interested in, because those men are now coming to Germany. Those men are now coming to Egypt. Those men are now coming to Thailand, and not just the military men. And that's what makes the black man so desired, so wanted around the world. Jesus said this. Mm-hmm. He said, a prophet is without honor, like you always quote, in his own country, among his own people.
Yes, sir. That's true. Yes, sir.
You are the prophet. The Bible says that you are the prophet and the priest of your household.
Yes, sir.
And if Jesus said the prophet and the priest gets respect around the world.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Priest.
What makes you think that Jesus, as a prophet who didn't get respect at home? Yes, remember, they want to stone Jesus in his own neighborhood.
Yeah, they want to stone him. Yes,
they want to throw him off a cliff in his own neighborhood.
Yes, sir. Yes,
but
sir.
Now look at what Jesus did globally. It's the exact same thing for you black dudes. And I know some of you brothers are frustrated. Some of y'all on suicide watch, it seems like. Every time you turn around,
watch.
You got to take drugs, you got to smoke your weed, you got to do everything, because them sisters back home stressing y'all out. We get it.
Right.
We really do. But the part that you aren't getting is that you are so valued.
They don't even know it, man.
And I think that's the part that probably causes guys like me to kind of like let go of whatever's taking place in the States, because I know that the 50 million black people in the States, let's say 50 million black people in not in the States, but in North America, including Canada, Mexico, Greenland, and all the Caribbean islands, it adds up to be 50 million black people. Cool. Let's say 40% of those, well, let's just say 30 million are black women, or 20, even make it like this, 20 million are black women. When you have right up under you in South America 150 million black people, and you dudes on suicide watch for them people that's up north, you're sitting up there. The black woman in the United States makes up only a 4% amount of the women in the world in general. I don't think many men realize that. Black women only make up 4% of all the black women in the world. And y'all losing y'all mind over 4%ers. And I often talk about that because I want to sink in. You about to half y'all in jail because of jealousy for a 4%er.
For 4%, right.
Fights.
Right.
Trying to get back your 4%er. Some of y'all sit back and stress out and get in arguments you done have babies by 4%ers.
Right.
When 96% of black women, the type that you want to be with, the type that you want to be the representation of the black love and black community, don't live in the United States. Black love actually lives outside the United States, not just in the United States. So all you guys that keep on trying, I love my black sisters. Do you really? Then come on out here and get the 96% that's waiting for you.
Right.
Let me
Give me a minute. See, I'm gonna let you cook. I want to address some Elham. So I think there's some truth to what Elham is saying, but I think you got to add nuance to it. I did say that white men are the most powerful overall.
Correct.
I don't think they're the most sexually desired.
No,
I would
not at
argue
all.
that black men are the
Not
most
at all.
sexually desired. Do they go to white men because they got money and status and power?
Yes, they do.
They're
That's the
desired
only
because of their
reason.
money, status, and power, but not necessarily for their sexual prowess. Black men are mostly notified for their sexual prowess. Like you said, Drake, tall, black men have always been seen as more swaggadocious. And I think some white men acknowledge that. We don't have a problem saying that our white brothers, they got power. I even talk to some of my white brothers, say, y'all are venerated highly abroad because you got money and power. But if you're a black man that are tall, big, and got money, power, and status, you're a beast. You are a trifecta, and a trifecta to be reckoned with. And like Kobe said, white men always will ask if they've been with a black man. Black men never ask that question. Part of that is they think black men are inferior, but also I think the most part of it is they're afraid of that meat. They're afraid that they've been blacked out. There's a term I correct called blacked out obsidian. They're afraid that their white snow bunny.
Oh yeah, there's a thing on called black. There's just one word, black.
Yeah, they've been blacked out. They've been blacked out.
And the premise of that channel on is that you got a lot of black men, and it is a lot of stereotypes, but it is what it is. A lot of black men with non-black women. I think a lot of you brothers know what I'm talking about, because I know I'm not the only one that watches.
No, you're not the only one. You know what you're talking about.
So yeah, black. But let me say this. While yes, there is some truth to what we're talking about in that regard, I don't want brothers to sell ourselves too short here. There's another reason why a lot of brothers are kind of really favored overseas, and I don't have anything scientific on this. Andre can, and that for that matter, you, Kosher, can back me up on this.
Right.
It's more anecdotal, but from the reports I've gotten, it goes something like this. Black men are very, I guess what you could say, more liberal, small L, in comparison to other groups of men around the world. So what do I mean?
Yes, sir. You're correct.
What I mean by that is black men are a lot more forgiving in terms of body shapes and figures of women.
Right.
Black men are, when compared to other groups of men.
I agree.
Black men are more forgiving with regard to single moms than other groups of men comparatively. Black men are more forgiving with women that are older or more mature than other groups of men. Black men are much more in favor of or supportive of women that are ambitious or highly educated, quite contrary to the popular opinion that you hear on social media. When you compare us to other groups of men, we do tend to be much more in favor of that. We don't take a dim a view. We tend to be more in favor of women that want to be leaders and want, business leaders, political leaders, and so on. We have much more small L liberal ideas and values in relationships when compared to other men. So I think these factors are the more muted or quiet factors that a lot of women around the world really like about black men in comparison to others, along with the
Yeah, and like Dre said, like we understand that it's a myth of the BBC, but in myths there are truths. That's why it's called a myth. A myth means it's not necessarily spread out comprehensively abroad. It's not 100% comprehensive truth, but there's some truth to it. And once they get blacked out, many of them can't go back to. They can't go back, man. they can't go back once they get blacked out, man. They can't go. They can't go back. Once they get blacked out, some of them got blacked out by Dre before he got married.
Oh, without a doubt. My first girlfriend was white. My second girlfriend was Asian.
Oh,
then
really?
I got with the sister. Oh, yeah. My first windy, blonde, blue-eyed.
Right. So
and my second was Lisa, Asian girl, built like a sister. Then I got with the sister, and she cheated on me.
Oh, did she really?
The Asian girl worshipped me. The white girl worshipped me. The sister, she cheated on me.
Right. Shout out to my man, Jason Henderson. What's up, family, in chat? The Caroline's in the house. So I came up with a term, Dre. You and I had a good conversation in the backdrop. And guys, I need y'all to listen to this because there's a mischaracterization of what the Passport Bros are. And that's why I had to banter with a real Passport Bros stand up. And Dre, I got something that was dedicated to you, and I'm gonna let you see it. So there's a term that I created called pan-global sexuals. Pan means across, global means they go to all countries and they go for sexual deviance. And so I call them pan-global sexuals. I even created a term called pan-global philia. The word philia comes from the Greek means desire for hedonism and pleasure. A pan-global sexual is a man that goes abroad for the extent of getting box and cat. That's what Floyd was doing. He said he's not a passport bro, but the same things or verbiage that he used to demonize the passport bros is what he was actually doing himself. And also Jay Rillo, they are pan-global sexuals. And I'm going to talk about the dichotomy between ex-tourist, and Dre, I need you to give me feedback, and also between ex-tourist and also between and also between men that go in ex-districts where they may or may not get involved in that kind of behavior. We're going to talk about that because we're going to add nuance to the conversation, because people are going to stop lying on the image of black men when they don't have any evidence. And I'm sick of it, and that's why I'm one of the few in these spaces that are truly apologetic masculine. And I understand sometimes speaking up for black men, you're not going to make money, you ain't going to get the views.
Well, let's stop right there, Casey, because
go ahead, bro.
I disrupt that idea. Why is it black men can't make money talking about being a stand-up man for and catering to other black men? Black men need to and I don't like evoking slavery. I remember one time, Dre, you really admonished people on a live, and I want to thank you for doing that. I'm not one of these black people that every time at the drop of a hat, I'm invoking racism, slavery, Jim Crow. That's not me. But when I do it, I want it to stick. And on this particular point, in the year 2025, about to be 2026, there is no good reason why black men can't make a shit ton of money helping other black men become the best version of themselves. I want to understand why we can't do that. There is something in black men themselves. It's not the white man doing it. It ain't black women doing it. It's something you're limiting yourself. FDR was right about one thing. We only have one thing to fear, and that's fear itself.
Fear itself.
Stop being so afraid, black man. What are you afraid of? Exactly. What are you afraid? This is the thing that we talk about at the conclave, at the Black Manosphere Conclave, which is going down in Vegas next year. The thing I talk with a lot of brothers about, what are you afraid of, man? Well, exactly what are you afraid of? You afraid what the Klan going to come here and lock you up? I mean, come on, man. What are you afraid of? Why are so many brothers so afraid to take a chance on them? I'm not willing to risk it on a whole lot of other things because that's not in my control. But I'm willing to risk it all on me. I'll bet on me every day and twice on Sunday. A lot of brothers have to be willing to take a risk on themselves. Andre took a risk on himself, man. He took a bet on himself, and look at where he is today. He's better for it. Kosher Clinician took a bet on himself, man. He's better for it.
Yeah, true.
So I say to a lot of brothers, and it to me, the money alone means nothing if you don't have the other components. Brotherhood, good mental health, good physical health, know how to handle yourself, reading, holding your hands, and other things. We had some pew instruction in Miami. That was wonderful. We want to bring the brother back, Trigger Mike. We want to bring him back again in Las Vegas. All of those things, man, knowing how to dress well and present well and speak well. And having skills, not just to interact with the ladies, but in business settings, in other, non-sexual, non-romantic, social settings. We covered a whole thing at the conclave. I don't understand why right now, this brother, Kosher Clinician, with two other conclave brothers on the air in real time, why that chat room ain't lighting up with super chats.
I totally agree with you, man. I totally agree with you.
Why is that?
You prove my point. I agree with you, brother. That's why I'm saying, I've always said, man, I don't want to deviate necessarily from male-centered content, but I'm going to have to start looking at other means, because, it's a lot of work. Like I told you, Dre, and Dre, you're my witness. I'm a licensed therapist, so I work, but it took me days to put this show together. It took a lot of time and days. And I'm sitting, you can tell by the quality of the show, it ain't something I just threw together as a fly by night. It took a lot of time, it took a lot of thinking. And that's what the problem is, man. Black men don't really support black men at the level that they should. I'm not a fake therapist, I'm a real therapist that happens to advocate for black men. And I try to think about things in the concept text of how to benefit black men. But you're right. We don't get that. Now, if I was Obsidian, if I was a female, if I was what's the chick name, Danica Marie or Six to Goddess, man. I'll be getting plenty of money. But that's why a lot of black men say, you know what, man, I'm not doing black male content because there ain't no money in it, and you work like a slave. You work like a dog for pennies. It's almost like you're in the chitlin circuit, man. And God said, you know what? Because let's be real, Dre. YouTube is a business. It's a business. I don't do this for free. It takes a lot of time. So I tell men that they love what I'm trying to do, what Obsidian's trying to do, what Dre's trying to do. Support black men. A pan-global sexual is what Jay Rillo and Floyd is. Floyd say he's not a passport bro, but the same thing he accused passport bros of doing, that's what he allegedly has done. It's a broad overgeneralization of Obsidian and also Dre, and also it's the minimization of black male agency. In the DSM-5, there's a concept called paraphilias. The word para means to go between, philia means sexual or pleasure. So paraphilias mean I love many forms of sexual deviancy. You got paraphilias, you got exhibitionism. I'm not gonna say the other word, but starting with a P, right. Philia. And so that's what it means. So Floyd allegedly and Jay Rillo are pan-global philic because they love going abroad to many countries committing sexual crimes. Now, let's look at the real evidence, Dre. And Obsidian, I also want to look at this thing logically because you're 100% correct. That's why a lot of times guys say, you know what, man, that's why a lot of guys sign, Obsidian, get down with black women because black women support male content. They support it. And that's why black men, some of them, run game and lie and tell them what they want to hear because they know they're going to get that bag. I want to look at this thing, guys, from a true clinical perspective. And here are the real passport bros. The real passport bros would be men like Dre, men like Richie Mack, men like my man, the International Quiet Storm.
Right.
When you look at statistics, there's a such thing called a central tendency, Obsidian and also Dre. The tendency is that they tend to falsely associate black men as 20 deviations below the mean. That's Floyd, that's Jay Rillo, and the passport pookies. So they tend to take those men and put them as the mean or the average. But they're not the average. The average guy right here with the passport are good men. If you look at it from a data statistical analysis. If you got deviations to the left, it's a broad overgeneralization of black men. They say that all black men are the Jay Rillos, the Floyds, and also the passport pookies. But that's not the case. The truth is most passport bros are average men. They're probably military, have done pretty well. But I would say that Dre is probably him and Richie and also Quiet Storm are deviations above the mean because they are more in the higher performance when you think about what they're trying to do, what they've done. Dre, how would you respond to this using data and statistics? And even though this is not a true data analysis, I'm just trying to give a graphical picture about how they overgeneralize us with the ones to the left, but they minimize passport bros when they come down to those to the right or those in the middle. What do you guys think about that graph that I created?
The reason that they do that is because they know that if they're loud enough, people will believe it. Same thing like President Trump. Think about it. President Trump, 90% of the things they've already used barometers and facts and stats to prove that huge amount of what he says on a daily basis is a lie. Mm-hmm. But he knows, even though I just told a lie, if I say it enough, people in the United States are naive enough to believe it because they won't do their homework. They won't do any studies. They won't read, like Obsidian and the rest of us. So since these people are so naive, they're not gonna. If I sit back and I say the passport bros are this, or the black expats are this, or black men that travel are that, and if I repeat it and repeat it and repeat it, and then that's part one of the problem, because if you repeat something that's a lie long enough, people will believe that it's true. We've seen that throughout. That's why propaganda always works. During the time of war, or when the United States is always going out to war, all of a sudden notice all these military movies come out. Saving Private Ryan comes out, and then all these other movies of military sniper movies come out. To save his platoon type of movies come out. When the last time y'all saw a military movie come out? You know why we haven't seen one in a while? Because we aren't at the stage of war. As soon as we ended with Afghanistan, that propaganda of American military might end it, didn't it? Let President Trump start a war, a serious war with Venezuela or another country. Watch how many war movies start coming out, using propaganda to prop up why they're doing what they're doing, with no facts, no stats, no proof. Mm-hmm. So that's one problem. The second problem I often have, and I put this in the lap of black men. Black men that are content creators and traveling,
right?
A lot of the pookies talk too dang much.
Right.
I see white boys who have been content creators in the same countries for years. They go to Thailand. They go to the Philippines. They go to France and Spain. They will show you the party scenes and the funs and the museums of Barcelona. They will take you to London and show you the pubs. White boys will bring you to Colombia and show you some salsa dancers. Turn that camera off and have sex with every woman in that club. Mm-hmm. You never know their business. Mm-hmm. Black men, they will have a tendency over the last 5 years to show all their business.
Right.
We never had no money, and we act like we've never had sex.
Right. And I think it's a reason for that, Drake.
They just put it on camera the way that we childishly do. Now, mind you, and don't forget your thought, Kosher.
Yes,
don't forget your thought.
Go ahead.
I understand traveling on this scale for black men is in its infancy. Mm-hmm. I'm not naive to a lot of this travel is new to a lot of guys that aren't military or guys that always had money. So I give a little bit of grace to that.
Right.
And I know social media in the hands of black men is new as well. So I'll give a little grace to that too. But I still have to acknowledge that I'm seeing what I'm seeing in order for change to take place. And what I'm seeing is a lot of brothers put too much of their business out there. Number three thing that they do, they first of all, like I said, the first thing that I mentioned was in regards to propaganda. If I tell a lie enough, people start believing it. When it comes to passport bros or black men traveling, I ain't gotta have any proof. As long as I keep yelling the same lies, especially coming from the mouths of black women. If black women tell a lie on a black man enough, the rest of the world is going to believe it, because who's the closest to the black man? The black woman. So they figure, hey, if anybody knows that these passport bros are crazy, it must be the black woman, because these are her dudes, which is absolutely wrong. Number two, I said, black men talk too much.
Right.
When it comes to putting out our sexual exploits on camera. Mm-hmm. And then the third thing I said is that I understand that it's in its infancy.
Right.
And it's brand new in regards to black men on media, for our social media, and not having a little bit of decorum about themselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. The last thing I want to mention is this. If we don't change how we showcase ourselves on camera, we'll still be attacked 20 years from now. It's in our hands.
Right. And that's why I decided to do this show.
Evidence to use once we slow down the evidence, we know that white dude's been whoremongering for years. But there's not enough evidence on social media to prove it on the scale of brothers.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
And that's my last point.
Yes, sir. That's an excellent point, Dre. I agree with you 100%. What do you think about the graph, Obsidian, Dre? What do you think about the graph? I try to use graphics and use something that was simple but at the same time relevant. There's a broad overgeneralization of black men being passport bros associated with deviation below the left. I would say the truer passport, the ones like you are in the top, your deviations above the mean. I think your deviations above the average because you got the mean, the median, and the mode. The mean is right in the middle. This is the average performer that's trying to get to where you're at, where Rich is probably at, and also Quiet Storm. A lot of men are not in that category. You're one of the higher elites. You're one of the elites. But there are a lot of good men that are in the middle that are becoming. They're burgeoning, like Kevin Sanders talked about Henry's. I don't know what the acronym means. But what do you think about the graphic, Obsidian, about this broad overgeneralization of black men, which is it's a cognitive distortion?
I think it's dead on accurate, and I think that what my brother Andre said is 100% correct. At the Black Manosphere Conclave itself, I'm working on a book right now. I just wrote this one. The Gospel of St. Kevin Samuel. Just wrote this one. It's my fourth book. I'm working on a fifth, or technically a sixth book right now, which is a direct response to Professor Scott Galloway. He's got a book out called Notes on Being a Man. I know you guys heard about it. And since he has a lot to say about the manosphere, I thought that a manospherian should respond back, and I am. And I just wrote a chapter yesterday about a code. And the Black Manosphere Conclave never had a written code. It was a kind of unspoken thing. It will be formally written down in the book that I'm writing on now, responding to Professor Scott Galloway's Notes on Being a Man. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because of what Andre said. He said that it's our image and the way we're going to be regarded moving forward. However things shake themselves out with Floyd and whoever else, one thing is certain, it's in our hands. Our destiny is in our hands. The Black Manosphere Conclave, I and my fellow founding father conclave brothers, Theo Wav and Shannon Rawls, we came up with a code. And that code is business or business casual. That's your uniform. You are expected to be in uniform. If you want, let's just get right to this. If you want black women to respect you, which I hear a lot of black men say, you want their submission, you want their cooperation, you want their support. Fine. First, you have to learn how to respect yourself. A lot of black men, there's a really good movie. Talk about Passport Bros. You ever, and you guys are, well, I don't know about you, Kosher, but I know Andre is close. He and I are basically the same age. Have you seen this movie, Andre, called Black Rain?
No.
It was a movie. It was a movie in the 1980s. I want to say the 80s, could be early 90s, starring Michael Douglas. He plays a New York police officer. He's a cop. He's a detective who goes to Japan and ends up getting mixed up with the Yakuza. That's the Japanese mob. And his partner, played by Andy Garcia, is slain by the Yakuza. And he is then subsequently teamed up with a Japanese detective. One of the reasons why he got out of Dodge in New York was because he was under internal affairs investigation for taking money in a drug sting. And that kind of led to Andy Garcia getting killed, his character getting killed. And there's a scene in the film where the Japanese detective levels with the New York, with Michael Douglas's character. And he said, listen, man, did you take that money? And he said, yeah, I took the money. And he said, not only have you shamed police officers around the world, and not only have you dishonored your friend, but you dishonored yourself. At the Black Manosphere Conclave, we teach brothers not to dishonor themselves. There is no good reason, and I want to make this very clear. There is no good reason to photograph, videotape, or otherwise record your intimate bedroom activity to later be shown on social media or passed around to your buddies who may then take and show it on social media. That is not how a gentleman operates. The old rule still applies. Gentlemen never kiss and tell. Okay? Nobody has to know what your intimate business is like when you go overseas. That's nobody's business.
It's nobody's business, right?
It's nobody's business. What you do with the lady or ladies that have agreed and consented to spend time with you, that is between you. It goes no further. And that's something that we really hammer on at the conclave. We have a policy of no judgment. We're going to be going to Las Vegas. We're going to be going to Las Vegas next year, Sin City. Everybody knows what it is. All the tickets and info are at the website, blackmanosphere.com/BMC. You can get your tickets now. Theo has just announced the new class. I mean, he's giving it away for peanuts. It's only $750. Head on over there and get it while you can. We don't take a attitude of judgment. We don't believe that a man having a healthy sex drive is a bad thing. We see that as a good thing. We see that as healthy. We don't finger wag at brothers and tell them you must be married or you must only have one woman. We don't make any judgments. What we do, however, every man decides for himself. He wants to be married, whether he wants to have a lady friend, whether he wants to be poly. That's his choice. But what we do demand, A, gentlemen never kiss and tell. That's number one. Number two, consent. The ladies have to have the choice, the right to choose up front. You want to be married, she needs to know that up front. You want to have a lady friend, she needs to know that up front. You want to have more than one, she needs to know that up front. She has to be able to choose up front. There'll be no beating, there'll be no cheating, there'll be no stinginess. We don't get down with stingy brothers at the conclave. If you're one of these brothers that's talking about 50-50, the conclave is not the place for you. I can end this right here. Because if you think you're going to go to Colombia or Brazil or for that matter, Africa, talking about 50-50, you got another thing coming, brother. I can tell you that right now. You might as well stay here in the United States and work it out with the sisters. You're better off doing that. Because you think you're going to go to Cuba or you're going to go to Colombia or you're going to go to Panama or you're going to go to Brazil talking about some 50-50, you in for a rude awakening. I'll tell you that right now. So we have a code. And what I want people to understand about, I don't know Floyd. I'm just hearing about him on the internet like everybody else. He's never been to. See, my thinking is this. Times have changed. You know, I notice I get on YouTube and people still want to talk about Mumia as if we're back in 2018 somewhere. It's almost 2026, man. Times have changed. My whole orientation is around the conclave. My brothers, we're not just up here talking heads, just chopping it up on YouTube. We actually know each other in real life, man. And we all in this thing together, man. And I want brothers to understand that in the conclave, we have a standard. We have an aesthetic standard. We have a uniform code standard. We have a code of conduct standard. We do not abide by cheaters and adulterers. You will be kicked out. We don't want brothers that are stingy. We don't want brothers that are cheaters, that is to say, welchers on their brothers. We don't deal with none of that stuff. That's the reason why all this stuff don't happen at the conclave, man. We don't have no fights, no scandals, no Me Too, none of this, sex trafficking junk. We don't have none of that at the conclave for 5 years running. These two brothers been to the past two conclaves. They'll tell you because we have a standard. So what I want brothers listening out there to know is this. All of this stuff that you hear, these other YouTubers, That's not the Black Manosphere Conclave.
No.
Those are guys who's on some other stuff. The brothers at the Black Manosphere Conclave, we're the real deal. And I stand on that.
I want to show you guys something real quick. I call it the false dichotomies exposed. And, you know, Dre, I want you to add credence to this because you know more than, you know, well, I mean, we both know, but I would say you know more because you live abroad. But I'm going to get into what Obsidian was talking about in a minute. Where is it at? Let me see if I can find this file. And I talked about this on the show that I had recently. I seen the valid file. I talked about it on the show that I had recently. Let's see. Here we go. Let's see if I can bring it up. All right. So I call it false dichotomies, Dre, and Obsidian. And the false dichotomies is this. This broad overgeneralization is that black men that travel are ex-tourists. So I use the word ex for the sake of the algorithm and YouTube policy guidelines. They say that they are ex-tourists, and but that's a lie. And so, Dre, you know, and I know, I've been to Brazil twice. I've been to DR twice. I just got back with my dad and my sisters from St. Kitts, Barbados. I traveled the islands of Puerto Rico. I saw like five, 6 countries, man. St. Martin, St. Lucia. But Americans often are exploited by foreigners. We understand that they're often exploited. They charge us more, and men are being deleted sometimes in certain countries. True. But what do you think about this false equivocation? Because an ex-tourist, Dre, is a person that goes explicitly, like some of these white women that were going to Gambia, these black women, like Obsidian was talking about, that was going to Jamaica, with the express intent to go into areas that are prohibited by law to seek X from poor and impoverished people. That's what white women have been doing for years. Some black women have done it. White men have done it. And I'm sure, I guess some black men have done it. But this false equivocation of black men being the only ones and complicit in this, and that is dangerous. Now, the other dichotomy is that many men travel in X districts where it is legal. Some states, some districts are more or less legal. There's an understanding. I know from our research that some countries allow it under certain regulations. Some countries don't care. Some countries have pockets where you can do it. But my point is this false equivocation of American men with passports, black men with passports, being ex-tourists versus them being in districts where women are soliciting them, and also not only soliciting them, sometimes exploiting them. What would you say about the difference between those two things and these false dichotomies exposed? Because I've seen it, Dre, you've seen it, and the truth is this: there are more American men going into X districts where it's allowed versus them going into areas where they're explicitly trying to exploit women and children. The false equivocation.
That's true.
That Austin said.
That's true.
That Floyd said he wasn't a part of, but he was actually doing, because I was a little disappointed in Austin. I love Austin, but when you say that's horrible, man. So how would you respond to that, brother? Go ahead.
That's absolutely correct. You have guys that I've noticed statistically, just from my observation, that mainly if they're into that, they mainly go into those areas. For example, let's say Medellin, Colombia. Guys aren't going to the outskirts of Medellin or into the inner area of Medellin. A, language barrier for most guys. They're only going to be there for 3 or 4 days, 5 days, 10 days. So they go to areas where there's more of a red light district or a red light-ish district, a more party district, where more clubs, more American hip-hop clubs are lure them there, more reggae clubs. So they make sure that it's not just saying there's a sign outside saying, hey, this is where you're going to get the ladies, but there are district pockets that kind of like are clones or franchises of each other, no matter where you go in the world. If you go to Phuket, if you go to Europe, parts of Europe, if you go to parts of Lima, Peru, or Brazil or Colombia, it's almost like a cookie cutter. Let's bring hip hop music. Check. Pretty girls. Check. Alcohol and drugs to this little neighborhood, check. And now we've got the ladies of the night there and their pimps, check. And it's all cookie cut all throughout the world. They all look alike. You don't have to have a sign out there saying this is the red light district. Guys know what it is. And I find that guys get an Airbnb around these areas more likely. I see guys that are more likely to get a hotel room. In many cases, dudes will buy an apartment and Airbnb out to other guys that are coming to be close enough to those districts. So you're absolutely correct. Most guys aren't venturing out, such as what the accusation with Floyd is, messing with some young ladies. They got into an Uber. Think about it. These young ladies were not near the red light district. Right. These 14-year-old ladies allegedly got into an Uber. They were just, innocently talking to an Uber driver. Well, what are you young ladies doing tonight? Well, we're going to go see this foreigner who doesn't speak Portuguese. And that's when the bells went off with the Uber driver. And so he looks up the information, he does some homework, he reaches out to the police, and that's how this whole investigation started, from two 14-year-old girls that weren't from the red light district. Mm-hmm. So a lot of these guys who are on the perversion level, they don't care where they venture off to. But I can give grace to the guys that are just the weekend warriors, or I like what one guy said, and I'm going to be using this from now on. You have the difference between the passport bros and the assport bros. And you got the passport bros are guys that kind of like, they are trying to find new lives, new opportunities in other countries. But you got the assport bros, or the guys that are the weekend warriors, or the guys that are the red light district type guys. They kind of congregate in those areas. I don't blame them, because that's what they're looking for. You go to DR, they're going to Sosua. They're not going to Santo Domingo. They're going to, now they're starting to venture to there a little bit, but for the most part, they're going to Sosua for those districts. And I found that many of the guys get off the plane and they won't go to any other area of a city. They're going directly to that district. They're getting an Airbnb near the beach in that district, or around that district. Whether it be Las Vegas, nobody's getting a spot on the outskirts of the Strip. Everybody's getting a spot as close as they can to the Strip, if not on the Vegas Strip. And that's the same behavior that takes place around the world. So you're absolutely correct in your analogy that most dudes that are deviants, they deviate from the red light districts, because I don't know if that's easy prey to them, or they just don't want to be around, or they don't want to be seen or noticed by the red light guys. And so they try to blend within the locals and try to lure in local people. But most guys that travel that aren't on perversion are usually guys that just are out to have a good time. They're not bothering anybody. Like I say, you're a grown man with grown man money, and if it's legal or at least allowed in that particular country, in that particular city, I personally, even though I don't engage in it, even when I was single, I really wasn't one of those guys that was into that. But I don't judge the guys that know where to go to enjoy themselves with their grown man money. I don't pocket watch men.
Right. I totally agree.
That there is, you're 100% correct. There is a difference between the guys that just try to lure anybody from anywhere, and then the guys that go directly to the districts, enjoy their weekend, enjoy their week, and then they just go back home.
And you know what? It goes back to what I was